Nothing will stand in our way, and our golden age has just begun.
This is Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Now it's time for everyone to understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the Second American Revolution.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we're back live, Human Events Daily, Washington, D.C. Folks, did you know that in the last 6 weeks, 86 million AT&T users had their name, address, and social security numbers leaked? Or that the CCP is harvesting massive volumes of Americans' personal data to train DeepSeek and other AI systems? When you're online doing the work like I am, you need digital camouflage, and that's why I've partnered with our newest show sponsor, Patriot Protect. Patriot Protect removes your personal data from the internet. Whether it's Google, Amazon, or Apple, your personal data will be wiped so that scammers and cyber criminals and swatters like the ones that came after the Poso family will not and cannot find your data and can take you back your security and your privacy. Once Patriot Protect scans and scrubs your personal information, they'll continuously monitor your info to make sure every new instance of a possible data breach is eliminated immediately. I am talking 24/7 protection for the cost of keeping the porch lights on. The only thing worse than getting hacked is knowing you could have stopped it and didn't take action when you could have. So go to patriot-protect.com/POSO and use promo code POSO for 15% off a yearly subscription. That's patriot-protect.com/POSO and use promo code POSO for 15% off a yearly subscription. patriot-protect.com/POSO. All right, folks, I want to get in here, by the way, so I'm checking now. Reuters has up the story because this is a serious scandal. It is a very serious scandal, and we're taking it seriously at Human Events Daily. You must be a patriot. You must support America. You must put America first. The White House was unaware that the U.S. ambassador to Israel met with a convicted spy, a convicted traitor, Jonathan Pollard, the former U.S. Navy intelligence analyst who spent 3 decades in prison spying for Israel. They kept this meeting off of the Ambassador Huckabee's official schedule. It cost U.S. officials by surprise. They had no advance knowledge of this encounter. And Pollard is the one who comes out. He talks about it. They talk about all this stuff. It alarmed members of the U.S. intelligence services. Obviously, U.S. officials are not supposed to be meeting with convicted spies and certainly not with convicted traitors. And as more of this comes out, I wanted to turn now, for the very first time in studio, to Human Events opinion editor, Kenny Cody. What's up, Kenny?
Hey, Jack. How are you, man?
Welcome to the studio.
Glad to be here.
You're in D.C. You're conducting a series of meetings. You know, some on the record, not off the record.
That's right.
I have to ask you, though, Kenny Cody, as you're here in Washington, D.C., have you met with any convicted traitors to our nation?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge, yeah.
Not to my knowledge.
Sorry, so no Democrats.
No Democrats.
No Democrats. Right. Not Jim Comey?
No, not Jim Comey.
No, not Jim Comey. All right, okay, good. So we're keeping him clean over here, folks. Keeping him straight and narrow. But Kenny, you're here. Walk me through the perception of the U.S.-Israel relationship among Gen Z, because this has become a huge flashpoint politically. It's something Charlie and I talked about a lot. It's something that I know Charlie was talking to the administration about. And I really feel like this is going to be one of those things that just sends the absolute wrong message to young voters.
Yeah, and I think with any kind of ambassador, any kind of conservative that prioritizes any other country over America First relations, it's not going to be something that Gen Z kind of approves of. Like, whether you're on the right or you're on the left, we don't want any kind of promotion of any other country above America First interests. I mean, even if you're on the right, like you're an America First conservative, I know you are, I know I am, but even if you're on the left, like, you know, unless you're like advocating for like Palestine, Gaza, whatever, like, you don't want to see America prioritizing another country, and especially meeting with somebody who for 30 years and was convicted literally for doing exactly that, spying on the United States on behalf of Israel, fill in the blank. And I think that's the whole thing about the Gen Z. Gen Z is not pro-Israel or anti-Israel. They're not pro-Iraq. They're not anti-Iraq. They are pro-America. They don't want to see our funds, our interests going anywhere else besides to the America First mindset.
And there's been this optics, I think, situation, shall we say, over the last maybe 6 months, maybe 7 months, where a lot of people are saying, hey, what's going on with Israel? What's going on with this relationship? Why are we seemingly getting involved in wars with at the behest of Israel? And then there are people who look at Jeffrey Epstein, and they saw the Jeffrey Epstein situation, and I've talked about this at length, and they can see his ties to Ehud Barak, who was the former head of Israeli intelligence. He was also an Israeli prime minister. And whether, I'm not even going to get into the debate of what exactly he was doing, but optically, there are people in Gen Z who look at that and say, you see, there it is, right? That's the special treatment that these guys get, but we Americans, we are always ones coming last. Is that kind of the sense?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think when you are having people that are struggling to afford to live or have a nuclear family household, they can't even afford to buy a house, and all of a sudden these elites are getting pandered to, they're getting funds, they're getting all kinds of special treatment like Jeffrey Epstein got by other countries, and then America is prioritizing those countries over their own homeland
and
people's interests.
And I always got to give credit, prior to Trump's first administration, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't meaningfully dealt with by law enforcement at all in this country.
Right.
And so you got to give Trump credit. His administration arrested him the first time.
Absolutely.
And he died in prison. Okay, again, not getting into it, but we know,
Yeah.
we know the story. But prior to that, he has all these relationships with the global elite.
Yep.
He's tied in with everyone. And for some reason, he's just able to do this without facing any legal consequences. And that's the perception. And Kenny, you've written about this forever. That's the perception that I think Trump ran against in the first place.
Absolutely.
Walk me through that. It really is this sort of like elites versus the people kind of dynamic.
Well, the definition of populism is the people against elitism, and that entire mindset is what got Trump elected, both in the Republican primary in 2015, the general election in 2016, election was still for him in 2020, and then again in 2024. And I think you have seen over this first year, it feels like Trump at this point has been president for like 3 years, and we're only about 11 months in because of things that they have got done. But I think the reason he got reelected this time, there was a new revitalization of the America First mindset in this country because of the rejection of elites. The reason Jeffrey Epstein is such a big topic within the American political sphere is because of the special treatment he got from the elites that he hosted, that he donated to, and that he propped up, like Bill Clinton, like Hillary Clinton, and seeing those elites,
Larry Summers, Harvard, Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn and PayPal and his Silicon Valley Titan.
Yes, and that elitist mindset is what puts America last. When you're prioritizing the elites, when you're prioritizing other countries, you're prioritizing other diplomats, and then now prioritizing illegal convicted spies within for doing this, promoting Israel or promoting any other country over America. That's the kind of mindset that this country and our movement rejected.
You know what it is too, and I think maybe there's a conflict of saying, you say America first, right? And I hear some people saying America only. I don't think that's quite right either. What I think you need is American people first.
Yes.
You have to keep people on the focus, because if you don't do that, then you could insert, American companies first.
Yes.
Or American banks first, or American politicians first, right?
Yeah.
Insert your thing. No, it's American people first.
Yes.
The American people have to come first.
Yes.
And that's opposed to the elites, that's opposed to everything. And I'm not, and those guys who say America only, I'm not against it, but I'm saying I think it doesn't quite answer the question.
Right, and we are answering, as the America First movement, are answering to the middle class, to the working class men and women of this country that want to live in America, want to be safe to live in America, be able to afford a household, be able to afford clothes and food for their children, and we have to put those people first, not the ones that are making millions of dollars, and not the ones that are trying to destroy the country from the inside out in the government. We are prioritizing the middle class first, we're prioritizing the working class of this country that's struggling to meet paycheck to paycheck, and I think that the reason that you're seeing, Epstein get talked about, you're seeing that, that this spy that the Israeli embassy hosted, I think you have to understand that anger comes from us wanting to prioritize the American people first. Right.
So the idea being that, our national security is the whole idea. I'm not going to sit here and say that you want to talk about elites who have a PR problem. The intelligence community is a little bit of an issue there. But so the way it's supposed to work, if you watch like the Netflix version and Amazon Prime and all the propaganda films that get put out, it's supposed to be, look, we give them this incredible power. And you got Cash, you got Dan Bongino, you got Ratcliffe,
Tulsi
Gabbard, of course, who are all in there. Joe Kent, the great Joe Kent, they're all there and given this power because we want to be safe.
Exactly.
Because we want you to prevent, whether it's the cartels, whether it's terrorism, whether it's China, Russia, Iran, Paraguay, whatever, Mexico, whatever country, preventing us from harm. And so to be a traitor from that, to be a traitor, you're not just putting yourself at risk. You're not just betraying your agency, betraying your country. You're betraying your fellow countrymen.
Right.
You're betraying our safety. You're betraying my children's safety. You're betraying my safety. Right. My parents' safety. That's how we should look at this. And so a traitor to the nation, I mean, it's almost like outside of actual violence, I don't know what could even be a greater crime.
It's like seditious behavior. Like
it is seditious behavior.
Yeah, it's like President Trump said.
As President Trump said just yesterday, we had this whole,
Yeah,
thing
so
about it.
and the thing about it, like
Which I loved.
I loved it too.
I loved it. And then Caroline, she said, well,
I liked it though.
I was like, I mean, Carol, maybe we'll talk.
Well, and we have people sitting in jail right now because they had knowledge of January 6th going on, but yet we're hosting people who had knowledge of U.S. interests that were giving our information over to Israel or any other country that we're hosting and promoting at the Israeli embassy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You got people in jail, or I think most of them have gotten out, but people were in jail for years, and then they turn around and they invite this guy into a U.S. embassy that Trump moved into Jerusalem, who's a traitor, and it just, I'm telling you guys, it creates this perception of you're whining and dining this guy because he's a member of this elite, and it's like when you go to the it's like when you go to the amusement park or whatever, and you're waiting in line and it's hot and it's sweaty and the kids are screaming, and these guys just get the FastPass, and you're like, how did they get, and it's like a secret FastPass. No one else has
an elitist FastPass.
An elitist pass, folks. Jack Posobiec, Kenny Cody, we're here. Human Events Daily. Be right back.